This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Grace. This is Diorite.
And I'm Alexis.
And we're, okay, bye.
Calamity. If you're watching the podcast, it was like a pseudo-apocalypse.
Oh, God.
Diorite jumped off Grace's lap and the camera almost went flying.
Oh, God.
Whoa. He did not want to be a guest star today.
Yeah, he was like, I am not getting paid for this guest appearance.
He was being very friendly, y'all, literally until we started talking.
Yeah, he was up here giving me legs.
He was getting comfortable.
Hanging.
He just settled in. And then he's like, oh shit, he's camera shy. Right.
Yes, he is. He is a very shy boy. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, welcome.
Hello. How are you?
To the chaos of my life and our show. We're here on our last Courage the Cowardly Dog episode.
We are a bittersweet
which is
day.
crazy. Yes, It feels like it's gone very quickly. We hope you've enjoyed our courage journey with lots of crazy monsters and criminals and ghouls and all of the above.
Everything.
Alexis will be taking us on our final courage journey. So take her away.
Okay, so if y'all were joining us last week, we heard Grace tell the story of the Bag family taking a nice vacation to the Antarctic. I won't go too deep into what happened in that episode, because if you didn't listen, then obviously we want you to go back and listen after this one. But in that episode, it was funny that Grace said they were on vacation, because I noted that she was doing the episode that comes immediately after the episode that I will be talking about today. And Grace mentioned, like, well, what the fuck happened in your episode then to cause them to go on vacation on my episode?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, a fuck ton happens to them in today's episode.
Okay, so it's a deserved vacation.
A very deserved vacation.
Okay. Good to know.
This is going to combine the creepy, monsters, and some crime, so it'll be a perfect way to like wrap up our courage arc here, as we're kind of combining all of the crazy lore that these writers like to kind of mix together into these episodes.
Yes.
So
cool.
Today I will be reinterpreting / just retelling the episode from season 1, episode 7, part B. And it is called Everyone Wants to Direct, right?
Okay.
Like, ain't that so true? Everyone wants to be the boss, number one, and everyone wants to just like direct movies or like watch movies and write movies for the rest of their life. How true is that? Great title. So obviously we're going to be talking a little bit about cinema and about filmmaking and movie magic and all of that is going to be going on in today's episode. And I'm not really going to do a lot of wild speculation or really any wild speculation, because the writers actually did a good job, I think, putting a backstory behind today's criminals / criminals, plural. So I'm just going to tell the story, and obviously we're going to have a lot of fun making it funnier and joking about what the fuck is going on here. So the episode starts, it's a nice evening, a full moon, actually, evening. And the Bag family, they're watching, as per usual, TV in their home because there's absolutely nothing else to do in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And as they're watching TV and like the light from the full moon is kind of shining into the house, there is a very loud knock at the door. And this knock like freaks Courage the fuck out. I don't know why. It's like he can sense that someone bad already is on the other side. And so Muriel, she gets up and makes her way to the door and opens it. And we just see on the other side this bone thin, very tall, disheveled looking man with green skin, green teeth, a purple tongue and green eyes. I don't know why all these characters in my past couple of episodes have just had like fungus growing on them.
Fungus.
Fungus man. And he only has like a few patches of maybe like reddish hair kind of sticking out of his head. He's wearing like this very frayed and tattered dark green suit, but he did not forget to add a nice little accent piece. He's got on this red and yellow polka dot ascot around his neck, interpreting or like kind of living up to his Freddie Jones sort of style guide.
I like it.
Yeah. So this guy also, just to round out his description, he's got on these very thick framed glasses, even thicker than mine, and a really large, oddly like regular skin color nose. Again, regular skin color for a white person, I guess, but for someone who the rest of them is green. Is green, right?
They just have like a human skin tone compared to the green.
With these big ass thick frame glasses. And he's just very like hunched over and like bent at the knees, a little bit bad posture, kind of holding his hands together. And this man, this disheveled man, introduces himself as Benton Tarantella, the famous independent movie director. You already know how excited I am for this episode.
This is gonna make me cry from laughter right now. That's so fucking funny.
Sorry, guys, if you're listening to the podcast, we're both just having a moment. It's gonna be silent for a second as we just laugh through this and rub our eyes.
This is the best pop culture nod in all of our shows so far.
I think so.
My favorite directors of all time.
I think so. Like, yes, straight up. That one line there solidified it for me as like, all right, well, 2 seconds into this episode, and I've got to do it. You can't make a punny name for Quentin Tarantino and expect me to just like not do the episode.
Wow, this is iconic already. Wow.
Already. Again, if you have stuck with us for a while, we've talked about Quentin Tarantino and how much we both love his movies in the past, how much of an amazing director he is. Pretty much every single movie of his that I've seen, which I think is like all but 1 or 2 of them, is like on my list of favorite movies. It goes without saying who this guy is. If you don't know who Quentin Tarantino is, I'm very sorry. Go back. I don't even remember what episode that was where we talked about him. Just go back and listen to all of our episodes if you're new to the podcast.
Until you find it.
Until you find it. It's in there somewhere. We've mentioned him before.
Yes.
But suffice it to say, he's probably one of the best living movie directors right now. So yes, this man though, in Courage the Cowardly Dog, is Benton Tarantella. And again, of course, he is a famous independent movie director, or at least that is how he introduces himself to Muriel and Eustace. And so Muriel, she is like immediately starstruck, in awe, excited to be in the presence of a famous person, because again, they live in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, excuse me. Like, what are you doing here, sir? And she begins to like instantly warm up to this guy and invites him in the house. And so they're sitting at the kitchen table, which also, sorry. Okay, actually, to be fair, if like in the real world, Quentin Tarantino just knocked on my door one day, like, hi, I'm Quentin Tarantino, I'd be like, holy shit, do you want some tea?
Yeah, I'd be like,
do the same thing.
What?
At first, I was like, why are you letting this man in the house? But okay.
Fame will get
Muriel.
you places.
True, it will. Like having tea at a random farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Yep, the perks of fame.
Perks. They don't tell you about that in film school. And so, sitting at the kitchen table, Benton is explaining to the Bag family that he was just driving by, scouting out locations for his latest blockbuster, which, lol, they don't even call it Blockbuster anymore, I don't think. And it's also funny because Blockbuster, the actual store, is no more. But anyway,
yes.
So Muriel is very excited, thinking, oh my gosh, like, is he interested in using our house? And Eustace, though, he's kind of just brushing it off, like, so what does this have to do with us? And Benton tells the family that coincidentally, his next film is called The Return of the Zombies from Beneath the Farm. And he's like holding the script up in their face, like, see, here it is. I'm telling you the truth. And Muriel, she's even more impressed now, like, oh, wow, a real script. And Eustace is still just like, who is a strange man in our house? Again, what does any of this have to do with us? And it's hilarious, though, because Muriel is clearly just trying to like bring some excitement into their boring lives. Like, isn't it exciting, Eustace? Look. And he's like, whatever. And she's like, no one ever comes to visit us, let alone a movie director.
A movie star. Muriel's like, you could take me away from here.
Please.
Use my farm for whatever you
disheveled
need.
looking man. Anyway.
Which, like, also hilarious because Quentin Tarantino is so disheveled looking in real life, too.
Yeah,
constantly.
he's very, it's like, God, do you have a suit that fits, dude?
His hair is always just...
Yeah, and he seems like an anxious person. Like,
yes.
I shouldn't, and maybe not to say that there's good anxiety and bad anxiety, but almost like a squirrel type of anxiety.
Yes.
You know, like he's very like,
he seems like kind of paranoid too.
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
Which, who knows?
He turns
like
to
nothing
genius,
against,
so whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're still a genius. We love you, dude. Sorry
that
you're listening. If you are, oh my God, amazing. I'll retire right now. Anyway, but no, not to talk shit about him, but like, yeah, this is just like the vibe he gets off when you watch Quentin Tarantino doing interviews.
Anything. Yeah.
But Benton is actually pretty suave, I'll say.
Oh,
he is talking very smoothly. And he's like, yeah, this will be a perfect location for my next movie. Perfect. So he's very calm and like honestly has this weird charm to him, aside from the fact that he is pretty much bone and green skin, and that's it. And with like matted red patches of hair. So anyway, Benton tells them that he actually wants to make his movie right here at the Bagg family farmhouse. And at first, Eustace is not at all interested in the offer. But of course, after Benton's like, oh, but I will give you tons of cash, literally, quote unquote, tons is all that he says. And Eustace is like, give me the contract, dude. So Eustace and Muriel are skimming over this contract, which I think somewhere on it says literally like $1 trillion.
Oh, okay, good. Who knew?
Who knew? Something is not right here.
They're not lawyers like you, Alexis.
Sorry, you're right.
They didn't know how to read the contract.
Apparently, Courage is a lawyer, though, because he's like, no, wait, don't sign that. Do not sign this. Good boy, Courage. Good boy. And as Muriel and Eustace are like looking down, reading over this contract, Courage is in between telling them, don't sign it, and also going back and like looking at Benton to see what this guy is up to. And Benton is across the kitchen, and Courage notices his glasses fall off of his face. But coincidentally, his white person-colored nose also falls off of his face with the glasses, and we just see a gaping hole where an actual nose should be.
Oh no!
So Courage is clearly openly freaking out now about this guest of theirs, trying to warn Muriel and Eustace that he suspects this guest to actually be an undead / revenant / zombie of some sort.
Yeah.
Not good. I don't think he's actually going to have those trillions of dollars for Eustace. Zombies don't typically have bank accounts. Most importantly, though, is the show still on? So
from Ben whatever's usual cast: Uma Thurman, Sam
Jackson, Leo DiCaprio of late,
Jamie
Brad Pitt
Foxx,
a few times.
Who's getting brought in?
You just see that they're flying into nowhere as we speak.
Yeah, was that in the contract?
The usual suspects. And so Benton interjects as Courage is like trying to tell them, like, stop signing, stop, something's wrong. This guy's a zombie. Benton actually interjects and like kicks Courage out of the kitchen straight up.
Oh my God, Eustace probably signs it twice as fast.
Yes, Eustace is like, oh my God, here is my signature. Oh, and Benton like leans into Muriel and tells her that she actually could be a movie star herself. And he's like looking at her like, yeah, you look really good in pictures. Like you would look great in films, Muriel. And Muriel is blushing like, oh my God, please take me away, Benton. Take me away. Get me out of this hellhole.
Is his glasses still off? What
he put them back on. He put them. Oh my God.
I was like,
yeah. He like, so they came off. So Courage yelled, and he immediately put them back on. Okay, yeah. So cool. Muriel and Eustace are not aware, even though by his appearance, it's obvious this guy is not a living human being.
Yes.
He was formerly living human being, maybe.
But... no longer.
So after Muriel is told that she herself could be a movie star, Eustace just kind of cuts off the conversation like, yeah, when do we get paid? And
come on.
Hilariously, I mean, hey, we mentioned it. All of his usual cast members, they're on the plane right now. They're on their way to nowhere because Benton is like, well, we start shooting tonight.
Oh, really are ready.
They're on schedule, I guess, whether they're ready or not. But he then says that he would like to see the family's basement so that he can get a feel for the set and all that. He knew already that the house was perfect before seeing the room that they would need to film in.
Yes.
So they get down there, they take him down, and Benton is just like walking around, looking, kind of scoping out and like framing the basement. Like, yeah, this is great, really great. We'll do the zombie resurrection scene over there. I can use this kind of angle over here and this sort of shot. Like he's actually like going into some like actual legitimate terminology and stuff. So I'm like, okay, this guy actually may have a background as a director.
Yeah.
And so Muriel tells Eustace that they should straighten up around the basement before the filming starts. And surprisingly, Eustace immediately picks up a broom and gets to cleaning. That money. He will do anything for the money.
Yeah, damn.
Like, $1 trillion, I'll sweep for that. Yeah. And Benton, meanwhile, is continuing to like scope out the basement and figure out where he wants all these big scenes to take place. Mm-hmm. And Courage is keeping his eye on him, just like following him around, looking at him. And at one point, Courage sees Benton's whole hand just like or actually, I think it was like up to his elbow, even not just his hand, like just like pops off as he's like looking around the basement and stuff. And Courage is freaking out again, tries to run over and warn Muriel and Eustace, but Benton's got some good legs because again, he kicks Courage just totally out of the way and is like, Muriel, look at me. Hey,
yeah, over here.
You guys over here. Hey, remember I told you could be an actor?
Yeah.
Diversion. Squirrel. But yeah, Benton then actually offers Muriel the leading part in the movie. Oh, so he's like, oh, Muriel. Uma, she's his muse.
Muriel's in town now.
He's gonna film her feet, most likely.
We're ready.
Get ready, Muriel. I hope you got a pedicure.
Yeah, suckers off.
Yeah. And because Benton, he's looking at the lighting in the basement and everything, which is funny because so their basement, by the way, I don't know if it's been in any of the episodes we've done so far. I don't think we've described it, but it's almost just like a tornado cellar, to be real. Like it's got these rickety wooden stairs coming from upstairs to go down. And I'm pretty sure it's just like a dirt floor, like totally unfinished basement, brick walls, but dirt floor. And there's also like an additional cellar door that takes you actually outside of the house. So like pretty much like like a tornado shelter, and they've got like their laundry down there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's really like, again, it's not even half finished. It's totally unfinished, I guess. Like, no insulation, anything like that. And it's like kind of dark too, which is the reason I'm explaining this, is because it makes Benton's next line kind of funny. He's like, in this lighting, Muriel, you look amazing. Like, you have to be in pictures.
Damn, babe.
They're in like this dark, dank basement. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Light. Now, to be fair, he opens up like the storm door that leads outside, and so you do see like the full moon, the light from that shining in, but still. It's like, damn, kind of like a backhanded compliment there. Anyway, so Muriel, she doesn't see the backhandedness of this compliment and says, "Oh my," and is again blushing. Aww. And Benton says, yeah, you'll play the victim of the zombie sacrifice, which they're great. This is kind of like workshopping as they go. Like Eustace and Muriel are learning about the movie as they're setting up for it and being casted in it. Great. Cool.
I already said yes.
And so Muriel, she's very excited about this casting. She's more than eager to help out and jump in, play this role. And Eustace just kind of pokes his head over and asks, well, what's my role? And Benton gives him, actually, like, dude, you don't belong in this movie. Let's be real. So Benton gives him actually probably the best role for Eustace to dig the zombie's tomb. So Eustace, though, he's like actually super down for this job because he's clearly more of a behind the camera guy. So he's like, awesome, hell yeah. He grabs a shovel and just starts digging away because, like I said before, it's like only dirt on the ground in their basement. So, which also from a foundational standpoint doesn't sound safe at all.
Also, from like you'll remember the name because I don't. The filmmaker and crew union. This is not like probably union approved random people being like, yeah, go ahead and start digging for this set. There's
right now.
There's some violations happening.
Come on, we're filming soon. Hurry up. Get that hole done.
I have some concerns.
Like, by the way, you're not in the union, so you don't get health insurance or benefits either.
Sorry,
sucks to suck, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Go on.
And so at this point, Courage is like, okay, Muriel and Eustace they're TFG, too far gone. I can't pull them out of this situation. So he runs upstairs to the attic and gets on the computer and decides that he should, as the good boy he is, but always like the very first thing you should do when a weird person knocks on your door and claims to be someone famous, Google them. Real quick. Go Google them. Research, real quick search. Now, to his benefit, it was the year like 2000 or something, so they couldn't just like pull out their cell phone and like real quick sneak. He had to go upstairs, he had to get away from them. But he decides to do the smart thing and figure out, well, like, who is this guy? Is he really who he's claiming to be? Because in my mind, speaking as Courage here, I'm just seeing a zombie. So what's going on?
What the fuck is this? Yeah.
And so at first, Courage does have a little trouble finding any information on this guy. He's searching through all of these film databases, looking and looking, typing in like Benton Tarantella, who is this guy, over and over, but he's limiting his search to film databases. And so he doesn't find anything, actually, which raises more suspicions because it's like, well, he says he's a director, so he should, of course, be in film databases. And so then he moves away from the film databases and just does like a broader, probably Google search and just types Benton Tarantella in there. Exactly. Right. I mean, I personally would have started the other way because an IMDb page would have been like the first thing to pop up anyways. So you would have got there anyway, but it's cool. He's a dog.
The internet was new.
Yeah, he doesn't know like Boolean search tactics or whatever the fuck you call them. So Courage, he keeps searching and he does eventually find quite a bit of old articles actually telling him just who Benton Tarantella is. And in a way, he is a bit surprised to find the information that he does, but it does at the same time kind of confirm his suspicions are correct. And so, what exactly is the information that he finds about Quentin Tarantella? Well, he finds out that Tarantella is, in fact, a film director, or, well, that he was a film director at one point in time.
Okay.
But perhaps not the big hotshot Hollywood film director that he claimed to be. Perhaps one with a little bit of status, yes, but not like the Hollywood Walk of Fame type. In fact, he was an infamous film director, and he was known to work with a man by the name of Errol von Volkheim. You see, they were like a filmmaking duo. And, well, they had gotten some jobs on a few big movie sets, so they kind of had some connections in the industry. And by the way, they don't give an actual time frame for this, but we'll say that it was back in like the 40s and 50s, perhaps. So they did have a little bit of power and status in the industry, but they also weren't like big hot shots.
Yeah,
but they
like
kind of
Spielberg or anything.
There were no Spielberg, no. And in fact, some of the articles that Courage found actually defines them or like describes them as amateur filmmakers. So they did their own stuff and then were like contracted to help out with other projects as well. But what was interesting was that the two were never really interested in filmmaking so much as they were using their filmmaking credentials to actually lure unsuspecting victims to their death. So these two
serial killers?
They were serial killers, in fact, who hid under the guise of filmmakers. Yes, to recruit people. Because, you know, back then everyone wanted an in. They just wanted to be famous.
And
they would take whatever job. You couldn't Google back then to find out if this person was truly a film director. But, you know, they say, oh, I've worked with the greatest. I've done these pictures and this picture. And look, we have our camera and this equipment. Here, meet us at this location at this time, and then we'll go ahead and we'll at least get some headshots for you. Unfortunately, it was a different kind of headshot they were talking about. So, look, I don't know if these were straight up like snuff films, which highly illegal and controversial, and actually, that may be a crime caper one day. There have been, it's super. So if you don't know what a snuff film is, I almost don't want to describe it because at least the YouTube algorithm will probably like immediately kick us off of the internet. But essentially it is a film depicting someone being killed. Really not like what you see in the movies, but an actual murder that is, but not just like a murder that you're filming because like you're filming, like you're actually trying to make a movie out of it. Extremely deranged and extremely and like dark.
In real fucked up ways. Like, it's bad.
It's bad. Yeah. A lot of First Amendment court stuff that had to go down to get that settled and make that illegal. And I mean, it was always illegal, but people were like, free speech, it's a movie, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you murdered someone. No. Like
anyway. And murdering someone on camera. No.
Yeah, you cannot do that. So, anyway, I don't know if Tarantella and Von Volkheim were doing like straight up snuff films or if they were just like acting like they were going to film someone and then just killing them instead.
Can I like side note real quick? That like there's actually in real our universe of all of this, like there's I don't want to say like large number, but like a regular repeated pattern that you see, especially in like 60s to like 80s serial killers, of literally how they would lure women is saying, I'm a photographer, and literally all they had to have was a camera and saying like, you're really pretty, can I take your picture? And like that's all you needed back then was like, I have a camera. That means I'm a photographer. No, everyone has a smartphone now. Don't ever believe anyone when they say they're a photographer. Take the picture now in public or even if you're a photographer.
Yeah, because good God. Honestly, and even if they really are a photographer or like a filmmaker, Still don't go with them because like Harvey Weinstein was an actual filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
don't go with them.
I mean, he didn't kill anyone, but like he's still literally the spawn of Satan.
Stuff.
So it's like, don't like go with him.
Bring someone you know.
Yeah.
Preferably maybe more than one person, that you never go alone, even if they're like actually a filmmaker. Yeah, bring people, tell people where you're going, research them, all of this stuff that they could not do back then. Anyways,
they couldn't.
So just like the tie to real serial killers is very real right there.
Very, very real here. Yes. And like the motivation / the MO of how they're getting all of these victims. It's like, unfortunately, very, very, very real. And the writers were clearly inspired by real world events to put this one together.
Exactly.
So, Grace, as you noted, you couldn't research stuff back then. You couldn't look things up. So it was very easy for people to fall into these traps and be tricked by Tarantella and von Volkheim. So easy that that we know of, or at least that Courage is able to find. So there's probably more, but there were at least 12 people who they killed during these exploits.
Yeah, what?
Straight up serial killers. 12 people.
Full serial killer status.
So, thank God, justice was served, and these two were put behind bars eventually. Okay. Yes. Great. So, there were 12 people that we know of before them being put behind bars.
Good.
But the system somewhat failed when it found that von Volkheim had served many years on good behavior, and that he was doing fine in prison. He was helping out. He was tutoring the others. He was actually leading the prison theater troupe as their director. 5, 6, 7, 8. And go. No. You hold the camera this way. Get this angle. So eventually his sentence was commuted and he was released from jail. But meanwhile, Tarantella, isn't it? It is, it's like, I am, and I'm all for prison reform. I'm for it. But this guy's a serial killer. Some people do.
Different category.
Yeah. It's like, if you know for a fact that this is the guy that did it,
I'm gonna kill again if you already killed 12.
I believe everyone can be reformed. Actually, I don't believe everyone. There's a fine line. Anyway,
exactly.
Whatever.
It's complicated.
Different podcast. Not podcast. Right.
I'm sorry I brought that up.
It's okay.
A lot of feelings.
It's a very good thing to talk about. No, that's fair. Fair conversation. I'm the one who brought up this episode about a reformed maybe criminal. So it was ripe to happen. Anyway, so von Volkheim, he was on good behavior. His sentence was commuted. He was released. But Tarantella, he was not so reformed. He never really, he didn't want to be part of the prison theater gang or troupe. He didn't want to tutor anyone. And so he stayed back in jail. He was never released. And he reportedly died in jail. And so Courage, he finds out this information, and it's so adorable. He lets out a little like, yes, when he finds it out, like, yes, I'm right. He's like, 1, I'm right, and 2, Tarantella is actually dead. But then he's like, wait a minute, but where is this other guy, this von Volkheim guy?
Right.
And the computer tells him that von Volkheim has also died.
Okay.
Which at first Courage is happy about. But the computer then goes on to tell him that von Volkheim was buried in a cemetery, again, which Courage is happy about. And if you were around a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that spirits tend to be happier and they remain in the beyond if you treat them nicely when they're buried and given a proper burial. Exactly. Do what they want. They don't come up and curse you. But then the computer finishes his sentence and says that the cemetery is actually underneath the Bagg family farm.
Oh my God.
Of course. Which, how old is the cemetery? And how old is this farm? Because I'm like, Eustace has lived there his whole life. So maybe the cemetery was built in like, I don't know, the early 1900s. I don't know. It's
very confused.
A lot of stuff going on. I guess sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but since it is our last episode of Courage, we did say we may come back for some like overarching wild speculation at the end of this. So let me finish this up real quick so we can get to that. And
go to that.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a minute. And I am getting close to the end here. So we'll get to that in a second.
We have to discuss it.
Yeah. So Courage, he finds out that von Volkheim was buried under the farmhouse, and now he is freaking out because he's like, okay, I know for a fact that Tarantella is dead and is a zombie, and I also know that he is having Eustace dig a hole and filming some sort of zombie resurrection movie.
Yes. Also
in the basement over
Muriel.
which, and yes, Muriel is currently tied to a table. In the basement, yes, or actually I should say we see in the next scene
that she's
back down in the basement that Benton is currently tying her down to a table as Eustace continues to dig this hole for the zombie to come out of. And so Benton, he's opened up the storm door in the basement, and we look out and see the moon and some planet slowly moving right in front of it.
Classic.
Look, y'all, I'm not a scientist. I am pretty sure that there isn't a planet that comes in between Earth and the moon, because we would be having some serious fucking problems if it was.
There's like an eclipse.
But with what? I'm not sure. It's nighttime. It's not the sun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it looks like Mercury because it's small and red, but like that's
we would
not
have a lot of issues.
We would have some problems.
Yes, if this was happening. We won't question it.
I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. Sue me, but actually don't sue the writers of this episode. Anyway, these planets are aligning, starting to align right as Benton opens up the storm door, and he is continuing to strap Muriel down to a table. And so Benton, he's a little distracted by doing that, and Courage kind of sneaks back down into the basement and is able to grab a script off of the table, or the script. It's like the master copy, and he skims over it and he's reading it out loud. And this is the breakdown of the movie. It's very funny, actually. Scene 1, fool old people. Scene 2, dig big hole. Scene 3, when planets align, dead partner rises from the grave. And scene
also,
4,
wow, it's easy to be a director. Go on.
Yeah, I didn't know that making movies was this easy. In scene 4, eat old lady. Oh shit. So which rightfully freaks the fuck out of Courage. He's like screaming like, oh no. And so he runs towards Muriel, again trying to get her and save her one last time and convince them to stop helping Benton with this movie. But Benton grabs Courage's arm saying, oh, perfect, just in time, doggy. I have a great role for you. You get to play a dog who is locked up in that trunk over there.
Oh no.
So Benton, he like waves over Eustace. And this is the role that Eustace clearly wanted all along. He picks up Courage, and throws him into the trunk and locks it. And it is mean that he does it, but very hilariously, as he grabs Courage, Eustace is like, stupid overacting dog. Quit stealing my scenes.
It's my time to shine.
This is my movie, damn it. I dig this hole. I put my sweat in for this. So Benton, he goes back to the stairs by the storm door, and he's looking to see if the planets are a bit closer to finishing their alignment right over the farmhouse. And again, in like his kind of cool, suave voice, he's like, the light is perfect. Like, let's go ahead. Let's roll camera. Let's go.
Cameras.
And at this point, thank you. At this point, I ask and wonder how Muriel and Eustace have not asked, where are the cameramen and crew?
This is like rehearsal?
Yeah, they're on their way. They got trapped up at the rehearsal and got stuck, and now they're lost. Yeah, there's like nothing around it. It's the only building in like a 10-mile radius. Where is this thing?
Where are we?
Where are we?
Oh no.
Oh God. Yeah. So clearly this is going well. So Eustace at this point, he's just kind of like looking around, like, well, now what do? I dug the hole, I locked up Courage, and you want to start rolling. And Benton's like, oh, well, actually, perfect. You're free. You'll be the cameraman, actually.
Huh.
This works. All you have to do is run the camera. And he like does this creepy, weird laugh, like, ew, okay. And so hilariously, again, Eustace is very funny in this episode, I will say. He immediately asks, after getting this massive promotion, do I get paid extra?
Good question. Advocate for yourself.
Yeah, true. Yeah, pay equity. We need it. We need to normalize talking about salaries in the workplace. Boom. And so Benton, even more hilariously, responds like, sure. Because he's like, I'm gonna eat you anyway.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna kill you so soon. Why not?
That's why I'm giving you $1 trillion too. Like, sure, we'll give you $1,500,000. Why not? So Eustace, he heads towards the camera, and very, again, hilariously, he's like scratching his head. Yeah, there's a camera down there now. I don't know. Okay, Benton maybe did actually bring it in. Yeah, but like no one was using it. Like Benton probably doesn't even know how to use it. There's no crew. And yeah, again, even Eustace does not really count as crew, because he walks up to it and he's just like scratching his head, like looking at this thing, like,
what do
I think it's on. What do I do? Oh, and no. Benton, as soon as Quentin, oh my God, as soon as Eustace gets over to the camera, Benton is like, all right, roll camera, let's go, come on. Like, okay. So Courage, meanwhile, while Eustace is trying to get used to the camera, Courage breaks out of the locked trunk and he sneaks his way back towards the desk where the script is sitting. And he just like starts rewriting the script. He's like, okay, fine. Like, if this dude is like so married to the script, then let's just rewrite it. And so he's like going through, scribbling real quick, and then he just like slaps it back on the desk and runs back into the trunk to hide. I was never here. Yeah. And so as the planets fully align outside of the farmhouse, we see a green light like shoot down from the moon into the basement through the storm door, right into the hole that Eustace dug. Wow. And out of this hole, in very like classic horror cinematic fashion, you just see an arm like shoot out, this like pale white arm, and then you see another arm, and then just like it lifts up this body of a zombie who's just like shrieking and howling at the moon, essentially. It's like undead zombie revenant of von Volkheim. And he's got this like purplish, like lavender maybe robe of sorts that's very like ripped up and tattered, and a few strands of white hair just poking out of his head, a few teeth, and only one eye that's just like popping out. And he has a very thick German accent, which actually I wish that you could do, because I love your German accent that you do. I don't know if I can do it. We'll see. I'll try it maybe when he talks later. But anyway, so Eustace is like standing behind the camera capturing all of this. And hilariously, he's just like, wow, great effects. Oh my God, they don't know how any of this works. Wow.
Oh, early CGI.
The early days. So yeah, they have no idea how much danger they are in, because again, Muriel is still tied to this table, leaning into her lead role as the zombie sacrifice. And after Errol von Volkheim, the zombie, the revenant, whatever, of Errol von Volkheim climbs out of this tomb, which again, just skimming over the fact that they've been living over this dead man for all of this time, this graveyard, this cemetery. Benton, he walks up to Errol, and the two, they just like have this massive hug it out, like talking about how much they missed each other after so many years apart. Like, oh, I missed you, my dear friend. And Benton's like, all right, well, let's set up for the next shot. And Errol, okay, I'm going to try it. Errol's like, I'm starving. I don't know. That might have been Russian. I don't know.
I mash all of them together.
We'll see. Maybe there'll be some French in there too. So
yeah, you want French at the end.
I don't know. Yeah. Eustace, so Benton then tells Eustace that this scene features Mr. von Volkheim and himself, Benton, as newly risen zombies about to devour Muriel. At that point, he's like, and since I'm in this scene, Eustace, I'm actually going to promote you to director. So you get to call the shots for this one. And again, thinking like a good employee, Eustace like, what's the pay?
Yes,
what are you going to pay me?
Negotiate.
To which Benton says, tons. Again.
Great.
So clear. And Eustace just says, deal. Let's roll camera. Awesome. So Benton and Errol, they slowly make their way towards Muriel, who is still tied down onto this table. And actually, let me say, and maybe for the end of our courage arc, this is like a good way to depict Eustace one last time here. Ooh. He actually does something kind of adorable here towards Muriel. Ooh. And I'm like, okay, a broken clock is still right twice a day. I know, and it's the bare minimum what he does here, but I still was like, oh, when I watched it. So Benton and Errol, they're walking towards Muriel and asking if Eustace has the shot and if they're ready. But Eustace is like, hold on, cut. Move out of the way. I can't even see Muriel's face. And I know it like doesn't even sound cute, but I was like, oh, he wanted to make sure that I know. It's like, he wanted her in the shot. It's literally
the star.
It's literally the bare minimum to make sure that the star of the movie's face is in the shot. But the fact that Eustace of all people is the one that said it, I was like, oh, Eustace, he wants to make sure Muriel gets in the shot. Beautiful. Yeah. But it's also because he's like pretty firm with these guys. He's like, move over, like yelling. I'm like, you go, Eustace. Cool. Yeah. Still hate you, charge. But like, broken clock. This is one of those 2 times in the day. Yeah, so really. After Eustace confirms that Muriel can be seen and that everything's good with the shot, Benton tells them to check the script one more time to make sure that they're ready to start rolling. And so Eustace walks back over to the table where the script is sitting, and he grabs it and starts to read it out loud. And remember, Courage has made some little creative edits to it, so to speak. And so he reads it out loud and he's like, all right, well, it says in the next scene, the big zombie lets the dog out of the box. And Benton just walks over like, what? Like, that can't be right.
I didn't read that.
This is like, that's what it says. Benton like grabs the script from him like, well, if it's in the script, okay. So he walks over.
You're not the director now, buddy.
Yeah, it's out of your hands, dude. This is above your pay grade. Yeah. You're below the line now, Benton. Sorry.
You do this to yourself.
So he goes over and he lets Courage out of the trunk. Mm-hmm. And then he looks over at Eustace and is like, okay, now what? What's the next scene? And Eustace is like, well, it says next that the zombies go back in the hole and the dog buries them. At this point, Benton has like an existential, like a director's crisis. Like, what? This is not my work. This is not my work. I would never write such drivel. Script. Yeah. And von Volkheim, meanwhile, is like still just like standing over there, like, I can't believe it. You are such a lousy you are such a lousy writer. You have always been a lousy writer.
Damn.
Oh, and he's like face palming as he says it, like, you're so terrible at your job. Yeah. So, ooh, shit. Gauntlet down. Yikes. Throne. Let's go. Challenge.
Real
on.
Relationship.
Benton like tries to defend himself, like, it's not my work. I promise you, I didn't write this. I would never write something like this. But Von Volkheim, again, he's not having it. He's like, I come all this way just for you to write me back in the grave. That's it.
Damn.
Our partnership is kaput. Once and for all. Yeah, so they're done. And so Von Volkheim at this point is like, I don't ever want to work with you again, dude. And he actually just like crawls right back into the tomb.
He's like, I was peacefully dead.
I know. Like
I didn't want to get raised from the dead.
You could have called before raising
Shirley.
me from the dead.
To check
Shirley
if
just
I wanted
walks
this. You did not ask permission for this.
And so Benton at this point, though, he's like also climbing back into the tomb too.
Like, I must follow my script.
Which makes me wonder, I'm like, did he come out of there? I don't think he did. So he's just like going to be like, well, now I'm just going to join you in here. Yeah, the hole's big enough.
You can't get rid of me.
And he's like, well, who wants to work with a hack like you anyway, Von Volkheim? So I personally just want to say, okay, sorry, let me say first, Courage then runs in and he like fills up the hole very quickly, sealing the zombies down below, good boy, whatever. Good boy. And now let me just say that I would personally love to see like a sitcom between Errol Von Volkheim and Benton Tarantella, like living like their whole life in this hole under there, these bickering besties / former business associates, like serial killers, whatever. Yeah. But like you see it's in like total cartoon fashion. You see in the hole, they have like a whole like living room set up. For sure. It's like the Patrick Star situation. Yeah, exactly. Like all the different like people that were buried there. Yeah, that'd just be hilarious. Almost like Grace and Frankie type of situation. Like old people.
They're forced together and they don't want to be.
Exactly.
I would love for sure.
So anyway, after Courage seals up that hole and the zombies are trapped back down below, hilariously, again, Eustace says, wow, I never saw that ending coming. And Muriel is still tied to the table, mind you.
She's like, huh?
She's like, what happened? I missed it. Did I get in the shot? Line. Just scream. That's your only line is to scream, Muriel.
Not a girl.
Look terrified that you're about to get eaten by a zombie. But anyway, so Courage, he sets her free, and Muriel's still totally unaware of the danger that they were just in, is like, oh, isn't this so exciting? Courage, a Hollywood production. And so the episode ends with the planets unaligning or whatever, and the family is right back to what they were doing before Benton got there, watching TV in the family room, but this time they're enjoying the footage that they captured down in the basement. It's just like probably like a crooked camera, like on the floor. You just see like Benton's feet and stuff, like walking and like picking the camera back up and then walking away, checking the light and everything. It's like they like didn't film anything. And that's pretty much the end.
Wow.
And so, as you can tell, they definitely deserved a vacation after literally almost being eaten by zombies, whether they knew it or not. My guess is Courage was probably like, fuck this. I'm getting us the fuck out of here. This was way too close of a call. He booked the trip, didn't really tell Muriel and Eustace. So they were just like, all right, we're going to Antarctica.
Well, I was going to say, or... because at some point, like while you're talking, I was like, why the contract? Like, why did the zombie even bother with the contract? I bet Eustace brought that to like Benton's estate and was like, you owe me $1 trillion. Here's the contract with his signature. So y'all owe me, and now like owns his estate. And so thus they afforded the trip to Antarctica from last episode.
That's there you how go. They did it. Benton has a bad lawyer, because I would have argued a dead man can't sign a contract. Are you kidding me? But no, the lawyer's like, my hands are tied. My hands are tied. He signed it. I don't know how. He died years ago, but fuck. We have to redirect this estate from his children and give it to this old farm man. Probably
the lawyer is like, I have had to been a lawyer for goddamn serial killer for fucking decades. Get me out of this contract.
Get me the fuck out of this.
Take it.
Take it all.
Take it all, and I'm clean of this serial killer. Get me out.
Save me. Wait,
Yeah.
he's not going to come eat my brains, is he?
Oh shit. That was in the contract though, if I ever broke it. Oh god,
yeah.
oh god.
Fuck it. Oh well. Wait, you
Oh,
really
wow.
buried him? You really
Yeah,
buried
like
them?
put cement on it.
I will add, actually, Vincent Tarantella
Mhm.
does make another appearance on another episode of Courage
Oh
later on down the
shit.
road. I think in season 4. So yeah, so he
Okay.
is still around. He is still
Even
around.
though this was our final Courage episode,
Mm-hmm.
like all of our other shows, we say for now. And because
For
there
now.
are recurring characters, I think we'll definitely have to come back to Courage to specifically do the recurring characters and tie them into our various speculations and
Absolutely. The clutching foot appears again too from my
such.
last episode.
Ooh,
Yes. So there,
the
yeah. So
medium, snowman, clutching
mm-hmm.
foot. We got stuff to return to.
LaQuack is in a lot of
Yes.
episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of very, very notable and memorable villains and monsters from the show who we haven't even gotten to yet. I can think of several off the top of my head.
Yes.
So we will definitely be back at Courage one day in the future. But can we real quick to just tie a bow on this wonderful arc of ours? Because it's been a very fun 8 weeks talking about the show.
Yes.
What the fuck is going on in Nowhere, Kansas? Why are all of these weird half human monster animal type things like what is happening? Every other show we've talked about, they either live in a world of animals, like Rescue Rangers has a whole animal world adjacent to the real world. Darkwing Duck is just St. Canard is just animals. It's like just all, Scooby-Doo, it's real people putting on masks.
Yes.
What the fuck is going on with Doc Gerbil, Shirley, a talking chihuahua who's a medium?
Yeah. I think that this was a good episode to be able to speculate with that on. Because, and I know you said that you definitely have some theories and thoughts, but I do want to point out of the three main factors of one, I think we've decided that Nowhere is basically those older Missouri towns during Prohibition where crime was just a safe crime was allowed outside of city borders, but all criminals would not be prosecuted in town. So one, I think that's why so many just straight up criminals go there. Although with the Maria and Mono situation, maybe it was because they committed crime within the borders that they were you broke our one rule, you stole that jewel and identity. Yeah. Come on, guys, one rule. Yeah. And same with LaQuack getting arrested. Yeah, being we had one rule and you broke it. Two, from the episode, this really the medium episode in which we meet Horst, Eustace's brother, and all of definitely the cursed treasure broken or buried throughout the property. Definitely brought other curses. And then I think the fact that yes, this is clearly a huge, I wouldn't even just say this is just a normal graveyard. I would say this is probably a graveyard of criminals, because even though the Bond whatever got out on good behavior, he was still a serial killer. So he maybe got buried among other criminals. So I think it's just ripe for curses and spooky ooky things. And
I like that. I have one other theory, but I'm going to touch on that last one first. I like that the idea is that they just live on this graveyard full of old criminals. Because to that degree, I would even amend the clutching foot episode and be oh, they were killed, but then someone just buried them out in the middle of nowhere in that cemetery, and then they arose and their spirits were already at the house. They didn't. But I wanted to talk about astral projection, so fuck it. Anyway, I couldn't talk about it that much if they lived under the house, but I do like that theory.
Well, I think it would still make sense of because you said there's so much there was an opening, an area that was ripe for opening from the astral fill in the blank plane.
They could sense it at the bag house.
There was already a lot of activity around the bag house, so they just get drawn to it already.
Yeah, pretty much. Which explains all the other random monsters that show up there too. They're we just feel something different here.
Yeah, there's something going on here.
I think I like that one the best in terms of like keeping to the themes of like the spookiness and the creepiness of Courage, and like tying it into like the horror and the mystery. Like, yeah, they just live over a graveyard that's like ultra haunted with criminals, and it was also / cursed by Eustace's brother when they were way younger.
Lots of curses.
As just a wild speculation theory that I also like, which like it could kind of coexist with this haunted graveyard theory in a way. Maybe it could explain the likes of Doc Gerbil and some of these other cats who we didn't get to, but that's another major villain. And this one has floated around the internet too, and I've seen it before. Ooh. Pretty much people suspect that Nowhere is honestly just like a super fun site.
I was about to say, it's just like radiation.
Or like radioactive waste or something. And it used to be like a testing area or something, because it's like middle of nowhere, you know, where they used to test like bombs and shit, like off those military bases. And that somehow like they weren't evacuated in time, the Bag family, and they just like stayed back. It doesn't explain why they aren't mutated, but like explains why all these random mutated animals keep like trying to kill them and like
like keep appearing. So actually here, this is weirdly a topic that I know a lot about because there's a lot of environmental ties. But essentially, so like in 50s and 60s, this is a huge thing in like Southern Nevada when they were testing like nuclear bombs. Fun fact, it's now created what's called downwinder communities, because literally the radiation would blow downwind. And so Nevada, Southern Utah have a ton, but it also like has range, like they've basically like been able to trace it like all the way north to like Montana and shit. But back in the day, this is again in like the 50s, the government would straight up, and there's like radio recordings, there's some pictures of this. It was like a family event to go watch the bombs go off. And so there's pictures of like families with sunglasses on with like army people
like
standing
picnics
all around them while you see the mushroom clouds. So like direct radiation. It was like announced on the radio of like, it's totally safe. Come this Saturday, like bring your family, as like a cute family picnic. So that's a very real thing that straight up happened. So I would like to now double posit of merging all of these things together, which is the army, which again, like, because there's this whole thing in, again, like this downwinder fight that's still happening today for compensation, all of this stuff, that because it's basically the question of like, did the government know? Yeah, fucking obviously they knew that they were poisoning these innocent people just so that they could like say it was safe and do these big bombs and, you know,
and like
American
war propaganda.
patriotism.
Hey,
exactly.
Look at what we got.
Look at our big old bombs. All that type of stuff, that they specifically picked Nowhere as the testing ground for it because they knew Nowhere was a town of criminals. What does America think about criminals? They don't care about them.
They don't deserve to live. They're not worth
at
anything.
all.
They're
so
not
they
humans.
were like, let's solve this problem of all of our criminals that we know are here, but it's just like too hard to figure it out. So let's just kill them all. And then like, oops, we accidentally mutated them. But it was like, again, unknown. Maybe there like used to be like a prison, like a supermax there. And thus that's why that was the graveyard. But also they were like, let's also maybe like use the prisoners like for for quote unquote prison jobs, aka modern slavery, to like work these grounds, and thus poisoned everyone. So it's
and they were even more exposed to the radioactive waste and the fallout.
All of the above conspiracy by us.
I think that John Dilworth, the man who directed I think actually every single episode of Courage, owes us a nice big fat check for helping to put it together, put a real / kind of realistic story behind, or backstory behind the town of Nowhere, Kansas, to explain where the fuck all of these monsters and mutated criminals came from. Because I will even add, even the normal ones like Maria and Mano from my one Winnebago episode, Maria had like bloodshot red eyes.
Well, and it was
looks like she maybe had some, and then Mano was literally just an arm.
And they had just escaped prison.
Exactly.
So like there's clearly a supermax nearby somewhere.
Yep. Yeah.
It all comes together.
So
well,
it's coming
and as a final courage note, I don't want to make any excuse for this, but maybe the radiation is why Eustace was such a horrible human being.
Maybe.
Again, our true criminal, the abusive Eustace.
And
maybe he was just drinking that radiation from a real young age, and that's just why he became a monster of his own.
And fucked with his mind. And that's why Muriel is so oblivious.
Yeah, exactly.
It explains everything. And that's why Courage can like shapeshift and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And like solve all the problems.
So boom. That's it. And you know what? Not if, but when we come back to Courage in the future, we are going to continue to building off of that backstory. Yes, because it's canon now as far as we're concerned. So
everything we say is canon to me. I'm not gonna question it. It's a dangerous way to live, but I 100% science, no science, canon, real life canon to me now.
Canon, I don't know. Romanian War or something. It's a Civil War. I don't know. Sounds right.
We say it. We're on the internet now, so it must be true.
Yeah, so it must be true.
Yes.
You're welcome. No misinformation here. So anyway, it's been a great 8 weeks doing Courage, but we are so I cannot stress how so excited we are to do what we are going to do after Courage. Yes. Should we like drop a hint? I guess like just look down at your calendar and think about what month is coming up next after today's episode. And we're gonna base it on that. But until then, when we bring you this fun new arc that we will be doing starting next week, who, Grace, should they tell about this podcast?
You know, it's kind of going to be similar to my last, who they should tell on the last one, where we asked you to tag people on Twitter and stuff. Start tagging Quentin Tarantino on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know.
Or people who have been in his films at a minimum. Or I don't know if he does because he's kind of reclusive, but maybe.
Start writing him letters. Or like his production company letters and tagging them on Twitter and stuff, and be like, watch this episode and don't sue over
and if
it.
You put pictures of your feet in it, he will definitely respond.
I'll retweet that real fast. But also don't sue, because basically this show, not us, Courage the Cowardly Dog, is basically saying that you're a serial killer. But Saturday Morning Mysteries is just retelling an episode of things. But I think he would like this show. He likes weird stuff.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I totally see Quentin Tarantino being a fan of Saturday Morning Mysteries.
So tag Quentin Tarantino or his production company or all of his little gang that he usually has. And who else should they tell?
That's a tough one to follow up, because it's like, damn, I mean, after you tell Quentin Tarantino, who else do you tell?
Who else?
I mean, I guess to that end, tell Spielberg as well. Oh, geez.
We mentioned him.
Yeah, we did.
Complimented him in this one.
And you know, von Volkheim, he's based off of a real director too, but I can't remember who. It's some old German director who I don't remember the name. So I don't know, just Google every German director and like just start telling them to. But definitely tell Spielberg, who actually, was he like a German Jew? Sure, Spielberg. Anyway, I don't know. Because if so, then that's two birds, one stone.
Yeah, German director. Was he German descent?
Or at least like German lineage. I think he might have been actually. Do that. So tell Spielberg as well. Yeah. He may actually be on social media. So like tweet IG directly at him.
Yep.
Boom. We'll see
Spread the word to the directors.
Yes.
Great. Cool. And we'll see y'all next week for some very special Saturday Morning Mysteries. And
indeed.
We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on. So just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.